they think differently, they're intense, and I like intense people, but I didn't realize that that intensity is a mental, it's not a typical. Okay, it has been a big day, really big day, probably life-changing. I don't even know how to even begin this. ADHD, girlfriend, myself, my entire childhood, hyperfixation, hyperfocus, strength, weaknesses, thoughts, and potentially deeply in love. That's what I'm going to talk about today. So, as you know, I'm on a aggressive-ish cut. The aggressive-ish cut stopped for 2 days. I couldn't even film for 2 days. So, full integrity, couldn't film for 2 days. Here I am, giving this to you now. Basically, I have a specific, there's a specific fat burner. It's called yohimbine HCl. Now, depending on what country you're in, what state you're in, it's actually banned. Reason being is it aggravates the heart too much and it's quite aggressive, and people can take too much of it and have a heart attack. Not saying that you want to do that, but anyway. Point is, I had a bottle from a long time left over, and I was like, look, I've used it for stubborn fat sometimes beforehand, and it's that last section, and she's in that last section where she's kind of got that last maybe 1 or 2 kilos to go, and in really stubborn places. She kind of really took it without even really discussing it with me, but lo and behold, she's doing her cardio, and suddenly she's like, my mind's quiet. I've never experienced this. What? Is this what normal people feel like? And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is what normal, what you're meant to be energetic, like. And then we researched into it, and specifically it increases the dopamine and serotonin a little bit, and specifically has that sort of effect on somebody that has ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. From there on in, my entire brain exploded because suddenly my partner, which I've been hoping that, you know, she'll remember something or we have a lot of arguments, is now realizing that that's never going to be the case, that she is one certain way. But second of all, beginning to confront that me and her, even though we have different flavors, may have something relatively similar. She's younger, I'm older, and I've just been working on my brain from, you know, from childhood, trying to figure out what I'm doing, what I'm not doing. Am I a bad person? Am I a good person? And do all these things. But I realized that a long time ago that I think differently, or that I create intense amount of focus and then do things at a really high level that nobody else can plug in and do at a high level. So I've begun to understand that potentially I have it as well. But I mean, this has blown my brain apart. I sit there and I realize that, well, a lot of my complaints, I don't have to complain about it anymore. And reading about it, I'm realizing that all the things I had complaints about are just her condition, and that she wasn't trying to manipulate me, or doesn't not love me, or doesn't not care for me because I've been rejected so many times in my life, or not rejected, I've had so many people, I guess, use me without even noticing it. So I have a bit of like, I don't trust people easily, at least in intimate relationships, or because I don't love myself, I think they might not love me. So, lo and behold, I'm saying don't diagnose yourself, obviously don't do that, but after her consuming another 6 to 8 hours worth of stuff, it becomes very clear that hers is quite significant and very typical for ADHD, sort of, and mine is a bit different, but I haven't even started on looking on the journey on myself, but everything makes sense. So things have happened. I've relaxed on a lot of things that irritated me before, why would I continue to be irritated if it's not something that she can necessarily change, and it doesn't mean that she doesn't love or care for me? 2, I realized what our deep connection is. 3, I've realized that I do like off-kilter people, and I always said I like this certain type of person, whether it be friend or female, and I realized that that type of person is what I like, and they're a bit off-center, they're a bit, they think differently, they're intense, and I like intense people, but I didn't realize that that intensity is a mental, it's not a typical mental thing. So I don't like labels, and I have friends really high up in the psychology industry, and labels can be good because it can give you an access into, some people have dealt with these problems before. How should I deal with these problems? Labels are bad if you go, oh, I'm broken and I can't be fixed, because that's not the case. It was just a bunch of white men in lab coats that said, you know what, we're going to characterize these bunch of behaviors as this. It's not real. You can't look in your brain and be like, yes, that's ADHD or attention deficit disorder. So basically, I'm right now live going through the fact that I have different software than all other people. And she has different software to all other people. And that's okay. And that software is really powerful if harnessed correctly. But there's also some things in that software that if we try and do things like regular people, it just doesn't work. So there's like a freedom, like, okay, I'm not crazy, I'm awesome, or I'm special, I've got different software. And she's not crazy, she's just got different software. And that means that I can't apply the normal things that I help other people with to her software because her software runs differently. So suddenly, it's like I've fallen in love with her all over again. She's stable because she's not trying to do a thing, she's just being fully herself. So I'm deeply, madly in love with her. We've discussed things like boundaries, things like what I feel, my deepest insecurities, that I felt like she didn't love me this whole time because she didn't care, and that she does love that I'm very controlled and very stable, and I say no to serotonin, no to dopamine things, and become really plugged in and really hyper-focused, and that helps her. Where I thought that because she's so hyperactive that whenever I was plugged in and focused, that she was hoping that I would be more like her. So there's like a huge freedom there. Anyway, so I was like, look, we're in a great place. I was like, you're coming to live with me. Again, we've lived together many times, but I was like, no, you're not going to be in a separate Airbnb now. Like, stay here. So that's been great. And I just have to learn how to implement way, way stronger boundaries. And she's going to respect those boundaries. So I'm going to say, hey, at the moment, I'm plugging in, I'm doing X, Y, Z. You can't be here for this. Don't distract me during this, because if I have something that, I love reward or love things which are exciting, and she's very exciting for me, so I get distracted. I am so excited for my life from here. It feels like for the first time I have something concrete about myself, about others, about I'm excited. I am so excited, and I can't verbalize it yet because I'm genuinely going through the process right here, right now. So, when I find something out like this, I've never figured out something like this before, but I'm going to go into big, deep research to understand how I work, how she works, how we can work together, how we can not work together, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and try to understand that. I also shared with my sister, and I thought my sister was going to be like, get rid of the girlfriend, get rid of this, and then she said that her partner is also a bit special. And I was like, and I had this freedom, and then there's like, there's so much freedom, because when I was a child, like, people were like, you're different, or like, my parents were like, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just do this? And I'm like, I don't know why I'm different. I've been struggling to explain why I'm different, but here we are. So I'm in a whole new world right now, and it's so exciting. It's so thrilling. It's so new. It's so like, I don't even know what is available for me from here, but golly gosh, I'm excited. That's really all I got. I'm excited, and I can't wait to tell you more, but you know, you're gonna meet her. I reckon you're gonna meet her, because if she's gonna be living in the space, you're gonna meet her, and she's awesome. She's nuts. I'm nuts. That's cool. And the fact that this has all happened during me shredding is like, whoa. So, you know, here I am, and this is exciting. This is exciting. I am excited. I'm nervous. I'm hoping I'm not diagnosing myself, you know what I mean? Because everyone's like, it's hard to do hard things. But don't know. There's a lot of details, and I'm gonna go talk to my friend, which is the expert in this field. She's like the expert in Australia on this field, so I'll be able to get more data there, and yay. Like, yay. So that's great. That's where we're at. And we're immediately back into weights, cardio, and let's go. Let's send it. So everything's been great. I went to see the boys as well, which was, I was really nervous to see guys, and I haven't had guy relationships or friendship. Went to see them. That was really good. That was really therapeutic. And I realized for a lot of people, I'm a space where people get seen and people get, like, I can receive what you're putting down, and a lot of people can't receive what you're putting down. I can feel it. I can feel it emotionally. I can feel it spiritually. I can feel it really deeply. So that's awesome. And low-key, I'm so excited. I cannot even formulate it into words. I am so excited. That's it. That's my update. That's where I'm at. Stay tuned for more. I'll see you tomorrow.